speaking to us on NewsX World, sharing your perspective. Meanwhile, viewers, more news coming in. Speaking in New York alongside Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, US President Donald Trump has warned that incursions by Russian drones and fighter jets must be met with force. He's further added that NATO should shoot down any Russian aircraft breaching alliance airspace. So during his meeting with Zelenskyy on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, Trump has praised the Ukrainian leader as brave, stating that Kiev's forces are boldly protecting their nation's sovereignty. Listen in.
We're going to start a meeting with the president, who we all know very well, and he's a brave man, and he's putting up one hell of a fight, and we'll see how that all turns out. But we're going to have a meeting, and we have about 30 meetings scheduled today. But this is an important one, and we have great respect for the fight that Ukraine is putting up. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Later, in a lengthy post on Truth Social, Trump has stated that he believed Ukraine could reclaim all of its occupied territory in its original form, calling Russia a paper tiger and urging Kiev to act now while Moscow is weakened economically. He's added that with NATO and European support, Ukraine had a real chance to win. Meanwhile, speaking at the UNSC, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has warned that President Trump's patience is not infinite and has stated that there would come a point when the White House would impose costs for Russia's continued aggression. Listen in.
This war has to end, and we have done everything we possibly can and will continue to do everything we possibly can to bring it to an end. Very generous offers have been made. For example, a ceasefire at the current lines of contact, while all the other details on the future of the conflict could be worked out in terms of future territorial lines. The President has shown extraordinary patience in terms of not assessing additional sanctions in the hopes of having a breakthrough in this regard. And all has come to what appears to be not just a stagnant one, but an era, and we've entered a period of what appears to be potential even escalation, with the historically highest number of strikes we've seen over the last few nights and before. And now we are also watching incursions into neighboring airspace by both drones and airplanes.
With us on the broadcast is Professor Veselin Popovsky. He's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global's Law School. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. Interesting statements coming in from Donald Trump and Marco Rubio, considering the fact that during Trump's speech yesterday, he called the beginning of a war, of the Russia-Ukraine war, as a skirmish. He stated that it was supposed to be a skirmish and not escalate to the point that it has right now. What do you make of his statement?
Yeah, finally, what we are saying for a long time, we are happy to hear from President Trump and also from Secretary Marco Rubio. And the blame on Russia is very clear here. There is absolutely no doubt of this shift in the position of the United States. Effectively, the meeting in Alaska is buried in a grave. It doesn't exist anymore. Putin is no longer there. He is not longer able to command anything unless he accepts a ceasefire and a longer-term peace deal. Very good to hear that, both from Donald Trump and from Marco Rubio. A very, very clear message to Russia to stop fighting, basically to order a ceasefire. Russia can end this war in one phone call. It takes a minute for Putin to make a phone call to the generals and say, stop the fire, and the war will be over. And then obviously there is time for negotiations, for some security guarantee, for some post-war arrangements in terms of deployment of troops. Security guarantees should be also discussed. But the first and foremost, the message is very clear. Marco Rubio is absolutely correct to say we are exhausting our patience. The president was patient for a long time. Russia didn't do anything to reach ceasefire, didn't do anything to reach any peace deal. So the message is Russia should stop. Otherwise, it will face severe sanctions, including, and that's something new, unwillingness to shut down any airplanes, Russian Air Force, if it continues to violate the airspace, not only of Ukraine, but also of the neighboring NATO countries. Excellent messages today.
So another quick follow-up to this. We have seen really contrasting statements by Trump just a while back. He in fact met Vladimir Putin in Alaska earlier too. He's been mooting for a trilateral, trying to get that to catalyze, but now it's clear that he's made a U-turn. He's sticking by Ukraine. He stated that Ukraine should in fact regain its old territories, and Zelenskyy has reacted to this, calling it a pleasant surprise.
Absolutely. Yes, that's what we hear. And that's, as I said, the Alaska meeting is dead. It's buried in a grave. It doesn't no longer exist. There is no more attempt to pacify Putin. There is no longer talks about any swaps of territory, and all of that is gone. Ukraine is going to get its legitimate and legal territory under international law, which is the border of Ukraine. It was in 1991 when the Ukrainians get their independence. Absolutely clear. No mentioning of Crimea yet. Let's leave it for later, but definitely Ukraine has all the options now, all the support, including from the United States, to go and to not surrender any kilometer of its territory. Of course, it will take time. The response of Russia is very interesting what will come. But the position of the United States is finally crystal clear.
All right, sir. With that, I would like to thank you for taking our time.